I'm Allie with Potomac Beads, and today I'm going to show you how to do Anna's new design, the Holland Pendant. For the Holland Pendant, we're going to be taking a rounded cab and making it look more diamond shaped, featuring our newest bead in the Potomac Bead Company line, the EVA Bead. In addition to that, you may not have seen before the 2-hole bells, and we're going to be working with those as well. Keep in mind you can gather up your materials that were listed in the beginning of the video, and if you need any of them, down below near the like button are the links to purchase them from us online. To begin my Holland Pendant, I'm going to be using the EVA beads and my bell beads, but instead of using them in the bell shape, we're going to be using them that they're looking like a tulip. I have about 4 feet of beading thread, and at the end of that 4 feet of beading thread, I have a stop bead. This bead will eventually come off the project and will not be included in the project, so that way I want to make sure that I use a bead that's not part of the project so I remember to take it off. I have a size 12 needle attached to that 4 feet of thread, and the first thing I want to do is get my first of my bell beads here, that 2-hole bell, in place with the EVA bead, creating that nice little kind of potted tulip look. So to do so, I'm going to go through the EVA bead, so that way I'm coming out in the middle of the EVA, or in the inside opening of the EVA. I'm going to put on a 15-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to go up through one of the holes of that bell. Push that all down next to your stop bead, and then at the top I want you to add 2 15s, an 11, and 2 15s. We're then going to go down through the bell on the opposite side, which is going to put those seed beads right along the top of that flower. So you see that it acts as a little cap, adding in the 11 and then the 15s. Coming out that tulip then, go ahead and stick on another one of your 15s and go down through the other hole of the EVA bead. When you're through the other hole of the EVA bead then, you will have your first little floral design. From here, we're going to go along the outside to add our next of our floral design, which is going to actually link in to the first. To link in the second one and to get that design, I've added to the bottom of my thread 3 15s, 2 11s, and 3 15 seed beads. I'm going to decorate the bottom of the EVA bead by taking my thread and needle then through the opposite side towards the top of my flower. That's going to put those seed beads right along the base. From there, to get ready to add the next, go ahead and go through the 15 that sits below that tulip, coming out near the top of my flower then. I'm going to go through the 15 and then the first 11 as well. So I go through the 2 15s and then my thread is exiting through the 11. From here we're going to get ready to add our next of our bells to create our next little potted tulip, which is going to sit in a collection of 4. Add an 11 onto your needle and 2 15s. From here I'm going to go through the second hole. When it looks like a bell here, I'm going to go through the right hand hole of that bell, add a 15, and then I want the EVA to hug that bell so that way it actually looks like a tulip flower. So I'm going through the right hand hole of that EVA bead. Pushing that down, I'm going to come out the EVA and repeat that same thing that I just went over where we have 3 15s, 2 11s, and then 3 15s again. Once those 3 15s are on again, you're going up through the EVA bead, coming back towards your floral design. Before the bell flower and that 2-hole bell, and between the EVA, you want to add a 15 and then come back up through that bell. At this point here, it naturally kind of wants to sit to the side, and you just want to make sure to get that in place then. What we're going to do to get it in place is we're going to add 1 15, and then we're going to grab on to that 15-0 seed bead that is already there on the side of the first of our little potted tulips. We're not grabbing the first bead that sits closest to the tulip. We're grabbing the second bead that sits right before that 11-0. As I go through that second 15, I'm also going to go back through that first 11 that we put on at the start of this tulip. And pull that nice and tight. So they're going to sit right there next together. We're going to repeat this same thing now 2 more times, adding in an 11, 2 15s, going into the right hand side as it's shaped like a bell, add a 15, and go into one of the EVAs as it sits carrot shaped up, coming out through that top. Add 3 15s, 2 11s, and 3 15s. After I add those beads, I'm going to come back up through the piece, through the second hole of the EVA, towards that bell bead, coming out the EVA before the bell, go ahead and add another 15, pick up the second hole of the bell, and come out towards the base. When I'm out towards the base of that, we're going to add 1 15, and then we're repeating. We're going to the one that we added previously, and we're going to pick up the second of the 15s that sits closest to the middle 11. I'm going to sew through that because we're sharing that bead to get that nice Xing effect in the middle. After I sew through that, you're going to sew through your original 11 seed bead that you put on for this little potted tulip, and on towards the next. So that gets 3 of our beads nicely in place. And now I have to put on a 4th. The 4th is going to go in the same rotation, in the same direction, adding in an 11 and kind of circling around. When I add in the beads now, I'm going to add in my 11, and then I'm going to add a 15 into the design. And then because I already have the beads in place here, we're going to add the 11 and then share the 15. Remember, we're sharing that 15, that second one that's closest to there. So we added the 11. We're going to share the 15 because we already have it in place from the first one. From here then, add 1 more 11, and we're going to add our next tulip. Coming out, add the 15. Add your next EVA. From there, the beads for the bottom of the EVA, which are the 3, then 2, then 3 again. From here, we go back through the EVA. Coming out the base there, we add 1 more 15, sew through the top of the bell, down towards the base of the bell. Coming out the bell, you'll add 1 more 15, and then you're going to link on to the previous bell, second 15 there along the top before the 11. And then as I pull this nice and close, we're going to also sew through, get that tail out of the way, going to sew through the 11 just as if we needed to add another bead. So we have our 4 little bells in place here, all decorated nicely with the 15s along the side. From here, what I want to do is kind of reinforce how tight they tug together. To do so, take your thread and needle through the 15s, or through the 11s rather, sorry, those 4 11s, creating almost a right angle weave there. You want to take them through that one whole time. From there, we're going to come down through the 11 here after we spin around, and we're going to retrace our thread through the shared 15, down through the independent 15, down through that bellflower, and out to our EVA bead. So after coming through those center 4 beads, I've gone down through the tulip, through the 15s there along the side, through the actual EVA bead, through the 15s, and I want you to come out through the second 11. This section then is what's going to sit in that square and make it appear that our actual rounded cab is more of that diamond shape. So we have our little Holland window boxes there, and we are going to be adding seed beads to pull these back gently on our cab. And I have a backlit cab in the purple haze color. So we're going to be adding in a string basically of some 15-0s that are going to connect from the section here along our 11s all the way along to the next one, basically pulling those back. So my threaded needle is currently coming out the 11. I'm going to keep sewing so we're out the 15s. From here, I want you to actually add 1 11, and then we're going to add our 15s, which I have 8 of those, and then 1 more 11. From here, you're going to go up through your 15 right along the side. You're going down through the corners here, all the way around. If you have that stop bead there, just kind of push that out of the way. And you will notice a tiny bit that your tulip boxes are going to sit a little bit raised. From here again, 1 11, 8 15s, another 11, and then again repeat. You're going up through the whole exterior decorations along the EVA beads. Once you're out here, again, it's the same thing. 1, then 8, then 1, and around. So obviously, because there's 4 sides to a square, you are going to do this 4 times. I have 1 more to go. And then I'll show you exactly how it's kind of pulling back towards the project. 1 11, 8 15s, 1 11, and then back to that corner. Once you're back at that corner, I want you to push those flower boxes kind of towards the top, creating that curvature, which is going to sit right over top of your cab. So from here, we're going to come out the 2 11s that sit along the corner to enhance our little curvature there for it to sit on our 25mm or 24mm cab. Coming out those 2 seed beads along the end, just like we were kind of at the beginning, I want you to add, and I already did this so you didn't have to watch me count, you're going to add 7 of your 15s, 3 11s, and 7 15s. Sew through the corner 2 beads on the outside of the next EVA in line. Again, pick up again 3 more times that whole 7, then 3 11s, then 7. What this is doing is creating the netting that we're then going to pull towards the back of the cab as we get to putting the cab in place and actually holding it and kind of pushing those flowers right along the top. So there's 2 of those little nettings in. Go ahead and add 2 more. I did switch to my secondary 15-0 color from the green to the cranberry. As you add your final grouping of seed beads, you're going to be coming out of those 2 11s on the corner. From there, go ahead and go through the first 7 of your 15s and come out after the 3 11s. This 3 11s on each of these little sections here where we created the netting is what we're going to pull in towards the back. I'm going to add 2 groupings of seed beads. We're going to do it 4 times altogether, but after 2 we'll go ahead and drop our cab in there so that way our flowers have something to sit on and we're trapping it in. So basically we're bringing back towards the back these 4 sections of our netting that we just did. We're always going to be sewing through all 3 of our 11-0 seed beads as we link into the next 3 11-0 seed beads along the side. We're going to go back to, you can use your first or your secondary color, it doesn't really matter, and you're going to add 4 15-0 seed beads. Jump over to the next grouping of 3 11s and sew through those. That's going to pull that first one back, you can see right there. Push kind of that stop bead out of the way so that way your thread doesn't get mixed in. Again, pick 4 more 15s up and go over to the next 3 11s. So you can see I have 3 of those, or 2 of those done here, and I haven't really pulled tightly. I'm not pulling tightly because I haven't set my cab in yet. So I have 4 more 15s that I'm getting on, and then going through my 11s. 4 more go on. If I was pulling tight, that's when I would put the cab in, but I'm going to wait. I have those 4 more on. So back through the original 3 beads there. So now I have all of the original 3 beads that are caught with 4 15s in between. I have my backlit cab. I'm going to put face down so that that nice purple haze color is out and the silver is towards the back. You can also make this semi-reversible if you want. I'm going to play around kind of with the beads, pushing that cab down and pulling the thread and really pulling that netting into place. To tighten it up yet again, I'm going to go back through again all of those 15s and all of the 3s and reinforce the thread so that way I have that squared look and my beads sitting nicely along the corner. You can see right there where my stop bead is, my beads kind of want to sit up. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to kind of tie off that stop bead and get rid of it so that way it sits nicely along the side of the pendant and it's not hindering exactly how it sits on this Holland pendant. Once you're through at least 2 times, and remember I said I pulled that stop bead out a little bit so that way my little window boxes sit really nicely on my rounded cab and give really that appearance of that squared diamond shape. So once you're along the back and you've gone through multiple times here around that center, I'm going to start to get ready to make my bail. Going through the 3 11s, I'm going to come out then and up one of my set of my 7 15s along the side. So that's going to get me kind of right there along the top. I'm going to sew through my 2 11-0s on the top of that EVA bead, and because the whole pendant, it has that flower boxes that are all similar and the exact same in size, it doesn't matter really where you're coming out on your EVA bead. What I'm going to do is grab my next EVA bead, so my 5th one, and use that to make my pendant. If you want to, then you can actually do a rope coming out of it, or you can do just the actual cording like I'll be doing. Coming out those 2 11s then, what I want you to do is I want you to grab on 2 more 11s. From the 2 more 11s, you're going to grab on to your EVA bead and go through just like we've been doing, so it's kind of coming out through the narrow section. From here then, go ahead and you can pick which color. I'm actually going to switch it up and use kind of my cranberry color here. Add 5 of my 15s down through the EVA on the other side. Add 2 more 11s. And then as you add those 2 11s, go back through the 2 11s that you were coming out of at the base, at the top of the pendant. I'm going to reinforce that and add in a couple more 15s. So I'm going to add in, go ahead and go back through those 2 11s, up through the EVA bead. As I come out the EVA bead, give a nice tight pull so I don't see a lot of extra thread. Here now I'm going to add 3 of that first color of my 15s. Go along the top here, which the reason that I only added 5 at the top and not all at once is so that they stayed to the top and didn't kind of fall to the front or the back of the project. Down those on the other side. 3 more get added in that green color. And then I'm down the EVA and out the 15s again. And there we have it. So that's going to create that bail. I want to sew back through the 11s at the top so that way it sits centered. And my final move that I have to do here will be to basically tie off the ending thread here along the top and also get rid of the stop bead. The easiest way to get rid of the stop bead, pull it off, and then you're going to tie that thread in and kind of tuck it towards the back. You can put a needle on this end if you want and sew through the side here and bring it the whole way to the back. If you want to, you can also take both thread ends and get them so they're ending in the same location, coming back towards the back of the project and tying off the knot there. So I'm going down through the 7 beads along the back. As I go through those 7 then, I'm going to go through my 4, and basically I'm getting those 2 thread ends together. Go through the 3, and whenever you're getting rid of thread or you're ending a project, you always want to make sure that the thread is hidden. So you're generally speaking kind of re-sewing back through the same thread lines and the same ways that you have in your project. As I come out through those 3 beads here, or those red beads rather, I'm going to link on and catch on to those beads that sit right along the side of the EVA bead there. And I know towards the end sometimes it can be a little hard to see. Right here I'm going to take the stop beads off. I'm going to pull that towards the back of the pendant and tie that off to finish off my Holland pendant. The last thing to do is hang your pendant. Whether or not you want to take some beads and create a beaded chain with some tulips even hanging down that might look nice. I thought it would give a nice elegant look to use some of this silk satiny rat tail that is going to be, the rat tail is 3mm, and I'm going to go up through the center of the pendant with it. And I figured I would show you how to finish off the cording in case you wanted to. So I'm going to put it through the opening of the last EVA bead that I had, and then take it, after having it even in the back, take it through that loop, both strands. And this is, I'm making about 20 inches. You can make it to your desired length. The cording then is just going to sit and match really nicely to those 15-0 seed beads I used in that opaque golden olive. When you come out of the pendant then at the ending, I have the end of my cording, and I'm going to be using the fold over end crimps, so I just have kind of inexpensive fold over end crimps. I have some jump rings to attach a lobster to, and I have some super glue. What you're going to do is basically put your rat tail there in the base of the fold over crimp. You can drop a dab of glue in, and then use some pliers to fold over one side and then fold over the other side. You could even make a nice slip knot with this as well if you wanted to get the look of a slip knot and didn't really want to think about the actual size. Once you have one side on, you're going to put the other side on in the same fashion. Get in there and add a jump ring to the ending of that fold over crimp. And once you have the ending of that fold over crimp on and the jump ring in there, you can put a larger jump ring on one side, and then on the other side you will add the actual lobster. So this is just kind of a fun way and a fun cording to use that I think is underutilized but is really, really pretty. Goes along really well with the Holland pendant here, giving that nice kind of Holland look with the little tulip flower look in the middle. So thanks to Anna for this fun little Holland design. And you can use any sort of cab to design the middle of it and to actually do the Holland pendant if you decide to get some of the rat tail too. It's a fun way to do an ending and make the piece unique in a cording style that you don't normally see. Thanks again so much for joining me in learning to make the Holland Pendant. Hopefully you learned some fun netting techniques while seeing the diversity that you can do with that rounded cab. As always, if you like this YouTube video, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a little like, and you can also get the links to all of the products right below the video in the descriptions. Keep in mind, you can also join us in other ways on social media. Join our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making, and really become a better beader there, learning different techniques and learning from other people. Thanks so much for watching.